Then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow seed. As he was scattering seed, some fell along the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some
I'm the firstborn son of first-generation immigrants from the Philippines. My parents spent a considerable amount of time in the medical community in Chicagoland, but after they had their fourth child, they wanted to move to the country. So we moved to north central Florida, a little rural community, agricultural community where the bumper crops were watermelons, cantaloupes, and peanuts. So I don't know a lot, but I know just a little bit in regards to farming. And I get this, that in order for a plant to grow, you have to work the soil so that the plant can come up. Now, I can tell you for a fact right now that here in the Rump Arena, if I was to spread seed out here onto the floor, it's not going to grow. Not going to grow. Because the seed is landing on a certain type of ground. Now, you may have a situation where the seed lands on the pavement, or it lands on the gravel, or it may land on that lot with dandelions and weeds. And so, in my mind, I think about these things. My parents, they got a 5-acre lot in the country. And every so often they'd plant a family garden. And so I think about a variety of things when I think about this garden. I think about Matthew 13, and as I think about Matthew 13, I think about a number that continues to haunt me. 10,670,957. That's the number of young adults that have left the Adventist Church since 1965. Now, yes, okay, the parable, Jesus' parable here is the parable of the sower, right? That's a good emphasis. And some would give particular emphasis to the seed, but in my mind, I think about the ground. The ground. And I think about what kind of ground I want to be. You know, that dark dirt, right? The dark dirt that has little critters running around in it. The dark dirt that if you pick it up, you can smell it. Right? I want to be that type of that type of dirt. It's not even wet, but when you put your hands down deep inside of it and you pull your hands out, you just feel compelled to wash your hands. Deep, dark dirt. But, friends, I want my church to be a good soil church. I, one of your colleagues, I want to be a good earth pastor. Now here's something that happens here. It's strange, but it's in there because Jesus stops with the parable, and before he gives the interpretation of the parable, he takes this little interlude. Throughout Matthew 13 and in other places in the Gospels, there is this special emphasis that Jesus gives to hearing. To him who has ears, let him hear. Now, hearing in this context is the defining of giving special attention, and I love Eugene Peterson's paraphrase of verse 9. Are you really listening? Listening to this? The lives of today's younger generations are very different from previous eras. There was a time when we had presuppositions that life was fairly linear. We went from milestone to milestone to milestone to milestone. This was the way we were supposed to make our way through adolescence, into young adulthood, into adulthood. But today's young people are experiencing something very different. It may look something like this. You see, the challenge that we're experiencing beyond the content that we offer, the words that we manufacture, are we really doing what we need to do in regards to expressing things beyond the words that we say? Are we truly listening?
I'm like, calm down, you're fine. And then you just keep saying that faster and faster.
It gave me a lot of anxiety not knowing what to even do in high school.
Accumulates, it's just stress.
The overall pressure to do very well in a lot of different categories.
Homework, making friends.
Relationships with parents.
You want to have this certain body, or you want to have this certain amount of money.
Everyone's looking at you, and no one's gonna like you because you're freaking out.
Oh, I actually feel the same way.
In addition to the research that Fuller Youth Institute is doing in the Barna Group, as they're talking to Gen Zers, they're recognizing that they are not only feeling things, but they're feeling them deeply. They're feeling pressure. They're feeling the need for perfection, and also, from us, they're feeling judgment. So today, my plea to you as friends, as colleagues, as family, is that maybe they don't need another program. Maybe they don't need more money. Maybe they're not trying to take your position, and maybe they don't want your power. Maybe they just simply want to be heard, want to be seen. So for those of you out there that have ears, can you hear? I love this quote by Dr. Scott Cormode telling us that leadership begins with leadership, but we pastors, sometimes we like our words. We're good with words. We have lots of words. Well, maybe, beyond our homiletical training and the thousands of words we can produce in just any moment, maybe we need more listeners and less lecturers. Right? Because today's young people, they're not satisfied with just attending, filling a pew in a church. They're not satisfied with your lovely, eloquent sermon that ties everything in a nice, tidy knot. They're not satisfied with those things. We have this saying in our church: we don't want to go to church, we want to be the church. And for those of you that are being the church, I want to thank you, because the young and the old, the ethnically diverse, and the ones that are still searching for identity, they want to be the church.
I am the church.
The church is not a building.
It is not a religion.
It is not a place.
It is a people connected in community to Christ.
And we are all a little different.
We dress differently.
Act differently.
Move differently.
Think differently.
Worship differently.
Even sometimes believe differently.
But despite our differences,
we need each other.
For just as one body has many members,
so we, the body of Christ, has many members,
but are still one.
So join us
as we discover how our differences
make us better.
We
are the church.
We are the church.
We are the church.
We are the church.
And we're better together.
So as we move into this era where we've all experienced a little bit of loss, a little bit of fear, and we've all experienced it across the generations, whether you're 8 years old or 18 years old or 80 years old, can we start doing life together? It's time for the Adventist Church to be known not only simply for the beauty of the various departments to which we send off our kids to do things, not only for the beauty of the ways by which we do programming and we understand informationally the scriptures, but maybe can we just do life together and begin to be more than an informational church? Maybe we become a transformational church. When the seeds get, and I heard you guys over here, when the seeds get thrown, individually wrapped seeds. When the seeds get thrown, just think of it this way. That's my young adult that's taken a career near your church. I want them to land in a place where the dirt, you can smell it. And they can put their roots deep in there, even if they're there just for a season, even if they're there just for their graduate studies, for whatever season that they're there, I'm praying that the roots will go deep, you'll embrace them. And yes, it's going to be messy. If it's good dirt, sometimes there's a little bit of manure in it. But in the mess, in the brokenness, in the imperfection, can they be real? Can there be conversations? And would you, dear pastor, dear spouse, dear family, would you be vulnerable to them and let them do life with you? Because we got to start growing together instead of growing apart, right? So this is my hope and my desire as we go back to Matthew 13:23. The seed cast on good earth is the person, the young adult, the young person, the young professional, the young couple who hears and takes in the news and then produces a harvest beyond his or her wildest dream. This is my dream of our church. And we've gathered here together. I've seen you all in the hallway. You loving each other. There's no one doing social distancing. What if my diverse young adult shows up at your doorstep? Now, you're going to have to help me with this. On this first part, you're going to start saying very like a small whisper, we are the church, okay? So when I say something and I'm going to pause, you're going to say, we are the church, okay? When my young adult shows up at your doorstep, diverse in their clothing, you're too loud, be a little bit softer. When a couple is going through a difficult time and the divorcees are having a tangle and the reality is they're both going to your church and you're needing to do healing and you don't know, it is a mess. When there's a situation or circumstance, when a person takes a break from their faith, where the questions of secular society and the promptings of professors teach them things that are away from what you believe, and they show up with questions. Okay, there is wildcats that can shout louder than you can. When there comes a day when there is no answers and you say to them, I don't know, but let's journey together. Then what if that would have happened? What if, no matter where my young adult went, they would find you. Not a building, not a program, not a sermon, not a judgment, because we are all in process. What if the entire Seventh-day Adventist Church started growing together instead of growing apart? What if? What if?
What if? What if it's not that out of reach? What if love became reality? What if our church was the best place for generations to grow together? What if it's not that out of reach? What if? Where Jesus is lifted high, where neighbors become family, where children become leaders, where age is truly just a number. Growing Young Adventist is a journey towards establishing a thriving local church that will impact their community for generations to come. An intergenerational movement that celebrates young people and their faith. GYA is here to help local churches every step of the way, providing mentorship,